On March 5th, 2026, 50 Cent posted two words that froze an entire industry: surviving T.I. and Tiny. Then he deleted it. But the damage was already done. Before we get into what those four words mean, you need to understand who these two men are. Not the cartoon versions, not the memes, the real versions. Clifford Harris, known to the world as T.I., is one of the most decorated rappers in hip-hop history. King of the South, the man who made Whatever You Like, Live Your Life, and Bring 'Em Out. A man who went to federal prison not once, but twice, and came back both times still standing. A father of 7, a husband, a businessman. A man who, by all accounts, spent the last decade trying to build something legitimate. Curtis Jackson, known as 50 Cent, is the most dangerous media mogul in hip-hop history. Not because of his music, because of what he does after the music. He built G-Unit, he became a television executive, and in December of 2025, he executive produced Sean Combs' The Reckoning for Netflix, a 4-part documentary that pulled 21.8 million views in its first 6 days. He already took down one legend. These are not two guys trolling on Instagram. This is a 20-year Cold War between two of the most powerful men rap music ever produced. And it just reignited, with consequences nobody is ready for. It started, like most things in hip-hop, with a challenge nobody took seriously. February 6th, 2026, T.I. appears on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap podcast and does something bold. He calls out 50 Cent for a versus battle. Says 50 is ducking smoke. Says he's afraid to line up catalog for catalog. That should have been a flex. It was not. 50 Cent responded 7 hours later. Not with a battle, not with respect. He posted a clip from a 2010 Crime Stoppers advertisement, a public service announcement that featured T.I.'s face, and captioned it with one sentence: "Keep my name out your mouth." Translation: I'm not going to battle you. I'm going to remind the world you cooperated with federal authorities. February 12th, 50 escalates. He posts an Instagram comment calling T.I. King Rat. T.I. fires back immediately, calling 50 a rat in real life. The language gets uglier. The timeline explodes. Then 50 Cent did something that changed the entire dynamic. He went after the family. He posted an unflattering photo of Tiny Harris, T.I.'s wife. He compared T.I.'s son, King Harris, to the Pepe the Frog meme. He didn't just attack the rapper, he attacked the household. T.I. dropped War on February 22nd. He dropped The Right One on February 23rd. He dropped a third diss on February 25th. He dropped Lessons on February 26th. 4 diss tracks in 4 days. And 50 Cent responded to all of them the same way. He posted a photo of himself on a private jet and wrote, "My feelings were hurt." Then, he deleted every post about the Harris family and went completely silent. The internet called that a retreat. T.I. called it a win. They were both wrong. Because in hip-hop, silence from 50 Cent is not peace. Silence from 50 Cent is preparation. But before we get to what 50 was preparing, there's something King Harris did that handed 50 the one thing he needed: an excuse. King Harris, T.I.'s son, watched his mother get mocked. He watched his father get called a rat. He watched 50 million people laugh at his family's expense. And he snapped. His first move was actually measured. He dropped a diss track called Made Man. He delivered bars. He showed up as an artist, not a child. But then he made a decision that no one in hip-hop, not even his own father, could defend. In the music video for his second diss track, Sayless, King Harris wore a t-shirt. Printed on that t-shirt was a photograph of Sabrina Jackson. 50 Cent's murdered mother. Let that land. Sabrina Jackson was killed in 1988. 50 Cent was 8 years old. She was found dead after being drugged. Her murder was never solved. No case was ever filed. No arrest was ever made. For 36 years, Curtis Jackson has carried that grief. It has shaped every lyric he has ever written, every chip on his shoulder, every ruthless business decision. When Oprah asked him about his mother, he broke down on camera. When he talks about being left with his grandmother after Sabrina died, his voice changes in a way nothing else makes it change. That loss is the most sacred thing in his life, and King Harris put her face on a t-shirt. T.I. saw the video and said 4 words that told you everything. I said, "That's enough." He was proud his sons defended Tiny. He told the press that explicitly. But King wearing that shirt? He called it crossing the line. He said it directly, publicly, and without hesitation. Even Rick Ross, who is nobody's neutral party, publicly said the shirt was a step too far. And King Harris, when challenged about it, looked at Rick Ross and said, "I got your size, big bro." Now, here is the critical detail that most commentary missed. 50 Cent did not rage. He did not post. He did not respond on Instagram with fire and fury. He went still. That stillness should have been the warning. Instead, everyone interpreted it as defeat. The blogs wrote, "T.I. won the beef." The comment section said, "King finished 50." The headlines declared a Harris family victory. In hip-hop, silence from 50 Cent is not peace. Silence from 50 Cent is preparation. It took 9 days. On March 5th, the preparation became public. And suddenly, every person who declared T.I. the winner of a rap beef understood they had been watching the wrong game entirely. Because 50 Cent was never playing rap beef. He was playing documentary chess. Comment below right now. Was King Harris brave for defending his family? Or did he hand 50 Cent the perfect weapon? Drop it in the comments. I'm reading every one. Here is the angle nobody in mainstream media is covering properly. 50 Cent has done this before. Not as a threat, not as a troll. As a proven, documented, effective method of destruction. In 2024, 50 Cent began publicly referencing allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. Everyone assumed it was beef. Everyone assumed it was trolling. Everyone assumed it was entertainment. On December 19, 2025, Netflix released Sean Combs' The Reckoning, executive produced by Curtis Jackson. It pulled 21.8 million views in 6 days. Sean Combs was already facing federal charges. The documentary didn't just cover the story, it became the story. Now go back to 50 Cent's March 5th Instagram caption about T.I. and Tiny. Read it carefully. Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc? Dame thought I wasn't coming. I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're gonna ask about your 20 sexual assault cases. This is not a troll post. This is a blueprint. In 2021, attorney Tyrone Blackburn held a press conference representing over 30 women who alleged they were drugged, sexually assaulted, and trafficked by T.I. and Tiny Harris across a 15-year period spanning Georgia and California. The New York Times spoke to 5 of those women directly and reviewed corroborating messages and photographs. The Los Angeles District Attorney declined to prosecute in 2021, not because the allegations were found to be false, because of statute of limitations issues. A federal civil lawsuit by a woman identified as Jane Doe was dismissed in August 2024, also procedural. No case was ever filed. No arrest was ever made. But the allegations exist. They are documented. They are on record. And 30-plus women are still out there. And now, Sabrina Peterson, the woman who originally brought public attention to the allegations, resurfaced in July 2025 after Tiny Harris publicly commented on the Diddy verdict. Peterson made new claims. The cycle restarted. 50 Cent watched all of this happen. And when King Harris put Sabrina Jackson's face on a t-shirt, 50 Cent had something more valuable than anger. He had moral justification. Think about the timeline from 50's perspective. T.I. started a public beef. 50 responded. The family escalated. The son attacked a murdered woman's memory. And now, 50 is going to make a documentary? He didn't look like a predator. He looked like a man provoked. That framing is not accidental. The most dangerous thing about 50 Cent is not his lyrics. It is not his trolling. It is not even his money. It is the fact that when he decides to destroy someone's public image, he builds a structure around it. A narrative, a production team, a streaming platform, a press cycle. Diss tracks fade. Documentaries live forever. Here is where we are right now, as of March 2026. No speculation, just facts. March 5th. 50 Cent posts the surviving T.I. and Tiny Instagram screenshot with the Diddy documentary reference. He deletes it within hours, but screenshots are forever. March 5th. T.I. responds publicly. He says, and I'm quoting directly, "We can go bar for bar. We can go doc for doc." That is a man who either genuinely believes he has nothing to hide, or a man who has no idea what is coming. March 6th. 50 Cent drops new music, the Power Origins theme song. And in those lyrics, he does not troll. He does not joke. He references the sexual assault allegations against T.I. and Tiny directly and explicitly. The internet split immediately. Half the comment section said, "Finally, someone with a platform is speaking for those 30 women." The other half said, 50 Cent is weaponizing alleged victims to win a petty celebrity beef. Both sides had a point. Both sides were simultaneously right and wrong. Here is the detail that changes everything about the current moment. T.I. filed a defamation lawsuit against Sabrina Peterson. That trial is scheduled for June 9th, 2026 in Los Angeles. Read that sentence again. T.I. is suing Peterson for defamation, which means he is going to walk into a courtroom and argue that her allegations are false. And as part of that trial, evidence will be presented, depositions will be taken, documents will be introduced. The very same court proceedings T.I. is using to clear his name will produce a public record that a documentary filmmaker can use as source material. Whether T.I. wins or loses that trial in June, 50 Cent wins the documentary either way. If T.I. wins defamation suit, but these 30 women still say. If T.I. loses, court documents show. Meanwhile, no streaming platform has confirmed distribution of surviving T.I. and Tiny. No network has attached. But 50 Cent's track record means that silence is not denial. He announced The Reckoning over a year before Diddy was arrested. He plays long timelines. T.I.'s Kill the King album promo run, built around exactly the kind of victory narrative artists need to launch music, is now permanently overshadowed. Every interview will ask about 50's documentary threat. Every press outlet will bring up the allegations. Every new single will compete for attention against the phrase, "surviving T.I. and Tiny." 50 Cent just made himself T.I.'s co-headliner without releasing a single verse. That is power. That is strategy. And T.I. has not figured out how to counter it yet. Neither have his sons. Neither has Tiny. Because there is no rap verse you can write that neutralizes a Netflix documentary. Now let's go deeper. Here are the buried facts that nobody else is connecting. Buried receipt number 1. This is not a new beef.
50 Cent called T.I. a snitch in 2007, the year T.I. was arrested with machine guns and later received a shortened sentence after cooperating with federal authorities. 50 has never let go of that accusation. Everything that happened in February 2026 is built on a foundation that is 19 years old. Buried receipt number 2. King Harris, on February 26th, dropped what he called paperwork, documents he claimed proved 50 Cent snitched on Jimmy Henchman in a murder case. 50 Cent responded by posting his assault case footage from King's past. Both men now have public records in play. The receipts game is mutual. Buried receipt number 3. The LA District Attorney's decision not to prosecute in 2021 was based on statute of limitations, not on a finding that the allegations were fabricated. That distinction is legally significant. 50 Cent's documentary doesn't need a conviction to be destructive. It needs 30 women willing to speak on camera. Buried receipt number 4. T.I.'s defamation trial against Sabrina Peterson in June 2026 will create a public record. Court documents, witness testimony, evidence exhibits, regardless of the verdict. That public record becomes the backbone of the documentary 50 is building. And here is the final buried fact, the one that reframes everything you just watched. Both men's streaming numbers went up during this beef. T.I.'s catalog saw increased streams. So did 50 Cent's. The beef is, on some level, mutually profitable. Both men are more culturally relevant in March 2026 than they were in January. The question is, at what cost? T.I. gained streams, but he also potentially handed 50 Cent the documentary trigger he needed. And now we have to ask the hardest question. Comment below. Second engagement. Is 50 Cent using his documentary platform to protect alleged victims? Or is he weaponizing women's trauma to win a personal beef? I need your answer in the comments right now.
Let me put this in terms that have nothing to do with hip-hop. Imagine someone publicly mocks your family, your wife, your son. So your son fights back, harder than you wanted. And in that fight, he crosses a line that gives your enemy the moral high ground they needed to take everything you built. That is T.I. right now. And imagine you are 50 Cent. Someone attacked the memory of your murdered mother. Someone who has never been hungry, never been shot, never had to bury a parent at age 8. Put your mother's face on a t-shirt for clout. And you have the resources and the platform and the receipts to make sure that never gets forgotten. What would you do? This is the question nobody wants to answer honestly, because the answer requires you to hold two truths at the same time. 50 Cent has the right to defend his mother's memory with every legal tool available to him. And he is using alleged victims' pain as a weapon in what started as a celebrity internet beef. T.I. has the right to defend his family and his legacy against what he calls fabricated accusations. And he allowed his son to cross a line that made those accusations impossible to keep buried. In hip-hop, silence is the loudest warning. In hip-hop, silence is the loudest warning. In hip-hop, silence is the loudest warning. Neither man comes out of this completely clean, and neither story ends here. So what happens next? Let me give you the scenarios that are on the table right now. Scenario 1. 50 Cent delivers Surviving T.I. and Tiny to Netflix. Netflix says yes. They said yes to the Diddy doc. This drops before or during T.I.'s June defamation trial. T.I.'s promo run collapses. The trial becomes an international story. Scenario 2. T.I. wins his defamation lawsuit against Peterson in June. He gets an injunction that complicates documentary production. 50 pivots, changes the format, finds a different angle, and releases it anyway. Scenario 3. T.I. makes his own documentary. He said doc for doc. Maybe he means it. Who would he expose? And does he have the receipts to play that game? Scenario 4, the one nobody's saying out loud. Both men quietly reach a settlement. The documentary threat disappears. Everything gets buried. And the 30-plus women who came forward in 2021 are once again left without a resolution. Which scenario terrifies you the most? Drop your prediction in the comments. Here is what this really means. Hip-hop is in its accountability era. We watched Surviving R. Kelly lead to a conviction. We watched the Diddy documentary arrive alongside federal charges. And now 50 Cent, the man who executive produced both of those projects, is applying that same framework to his own personal beef. That is either the most important thing happening in music right now, or the most dangerous. Because when accountability journalism becomes a weapon in celebrity wars, the people who get hurt most are not the celebrities. They are the alleged victims, used as ammunition, not protected as human beings. I built a legacy across 2 decades. 50 Cent built a media empire across 2 decades. And in the spring of 2026, both of those legacies are being decided not on a stage, not in a studio, not in a courtroom, but on the internet, in real time, by us. What does hip-hop owe to the women in this story? That is the question nobody is answering. And until someone does, this story is not over.